Millions of people, borders being redrawn, countries disintegrating. Europe, which many see as a united bloc, is actually a cauldron of separatist tensions that could explode at any moment. Do you know which are the biggest movements threatening the continent's stability? The complexity of European separatism, beyond the basics. Separatism in Europe isn't a new phenomenon, but the intensification of movements in the post-Cold War era and globalization have brought new dynamics. It's not just about nationalism, but a complex mix of cultural identity, economic factors, political differences, and sometimes historical traumas. The pursuit of self-governance can be motivated by the feeling that the region is economically exploited, culturally stifled, or politically ignored by the central government, the European Union. Paradoxically, both facilitates and complicates these movements. On one hand, the existence of the EU offers an economic and political safety net, where a newly independent nation could theoretically continue to be part of a larger bloc. On the other hand, the EU and member states are averse to breakups, fearing a domino effect and instability. Let's analyze the main hotspots. Catalonia and Basque Country, Spain. Rich and unconforming, we start with Spain, which is home to two of Europe's most visible separatist movements. Catalonia, the Basque Country. Catalonia, with its capital Barcelona, is one of Spain's wealthiest and most industrialized regions. Catalans have a distinct language and culture, and there's a strong sense of national identity. The separatist movement gained significant strength in recent decades, culminating in an independence referendum in 2017, deemed illegal by the Spanish government, which led to an unprecedented political crisis. The main complaint is that Catalonia, being an economic engine, contributes disproportionately to the national budget without receiving a fair return in services or investments. In addition to defending its cultural identity, the movement is largely peaceful, but tension with Madrid is constant. The Basque Country in northern Spain also has a unique language and culture. Euskera. Historically, Basque separatism was marked by the violence of the ETA terrorist group, which sought independence through attacks for decades. However, after ETA's disarmament and renunciation of violence, the Basque separatist movement today seeks greater autonomy and, eventually, independence through political means. The region already has a high degree of autonomy with its own tax system, but the pursuit of greater sovereignty remains strong. Scotland, United Kingdom. The post-Brexit desire in the United Kingdom. The Scottish separatist movement gained new momentum after Brexit. Scotland, with its rich history and culture, already held an independence referendum in 2014, where 55% of voters chose to remain in the UK. However, the scenario changed drastically with Brexit. The majority of Scots voted to remain in the European Union, and the forced exit from the bloc reignited the independence debate. Many argue that Scotland is being dragged out of a union it didn't want to leave, against its democratic will. The promise of rejoining the EU as an independent nation is a strong argument for separatists, although support for independence fluctuates. The issue of Brexit and the perception that London ignores Scottish interests keep the topic alive and relevant. Flanders and Wallonia, Belgium. A cultural and economic divide. Belgium is a unique case, where separatism is not peripheral but central to the country's identity. It is a state divided linguistically and culturally between the Dutch-speaking Flemings in Flanders North and the French-speaking Walloons in Wallonia South. There's also a small German-speaking community. Tensions are deep. Flanders, being wealthier and more densely populated, feels it subsidizes Wallonia. There is a constant dispute over political power, language, and resource distribution. Flemish separatism, driven by nationalist parties, seeks greater autonomy or even full independence for Flanders. Walloon separatism is less prominent, but the very existence of Belgium as a unitary state is often questioned. Governmental crises are common, reflecting the deep divisions between the communities. The dissolution of Belgium is a scenario that, while unthinkable for many, is openly discussed in certain political circles. Other important hotspots: Corsicans, Lombards, Sardinians, and more. Beyond these major movements, Europe has several other separatist hotspots, though with varying levels of intensity and support. Corsica, France. The Mediterranean island has a history of nationalism and violence from separatist groups, although today the movement is more political. They seek greater autonomy and recognition of their distinct language and culture. Lombardy and Veneto, Italy. Two of Italy's wealthiest regions in the north. They have movements seeking greater financial autonomy and, in more extreme cases, independence. The Lega Nord, Northern League, a major political party, has roots in this regionalism, arguing that the north subsidizes the poorer south. Sardinia, Italy. The island in the Mediterranean also has a movement for autonomy and independence, driven by its distance from the mainland and its unique cultural identity. South Tyrol, Italy, an autonomous province in Italy, but with a German-speaking majority. It has movements that desire reunification with Austria or greater autonomy. Bavaria, Germany, although less active. There is a long-standing movement for Bavarian independence, a state with a strong cultural and economic identity. European separatism is a multifaceted phenomenon, driven by a mix of nationalism, economics, history, and the pursuit of identity. While the European Union has brought a period of relative peace and integration, underlying tensions persistent in some cases are exacerbated by events like Brexit or economic crises. The Europe of the future may well be a tapestry of redrawn borders, as the pursuit of self-determination continues to challenge the cohesion of existing nation-states. Which of these movements do you believe has the highest chance of success? Let me know in the comments.